Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for today's webinar. My name is Sarah Mohan and I work on the inclusion team here at Horizon International School. Today's webinar is about supporting communication and language development in Foundation Stage and in Key Stage 1. The aims of today's session are to understand the foundations of communication and language, and to gain ideas into how you can support your child with their communication and language development at home. In Foundation Stage, communication and language is broken down into 3 key areas: listening and attention, understanding, and speaking. During Foundation Stage, teachers and learning assistants will observe, assess, and plan the next steps for each child to ensure they are developing skills in these 3 areas. Children will continue to build upon and develop these skills as they move into Year 1 and beyond. Let's start off by looking at listening and attention. As your child develops, they will begin to focus on their activities for longer periods of time. They will be able to listen in a range of situations, like in class or in assembly. They will be able to listen and discuss stories and aspects of their learning, and they will be able to listen and follow more detailed instructions. Here are a few games you can play with your child which will support their listening and attention development. A great listening game is Who Has the Bells? Ask your child to close their eyes while another person rings the bells. Your child has to listen carefully and then identify where the sound came from and who rang the bells. This game can be played with anything noisy and can be made more challenging by playing more than one instrument. Memory games are great for developing your child's focus. A memory game we often play at school is Pairs. To play this game, all cards are turned over and your child has to turn over 2 cards at a time to try and find a matching pair. The game can also be linked to other areas of learning, for example, matching words and pictures in phonics or matching shapes and shape names in maths. Whilst you are in the supermarket, why not challenge your child to listen and recall all of the items on your shopping list? Another fun listening game is Pass the Beat. This can be played with instruments or with your hands. Your child needs to listen carefully as you play a beat, and then they have to repeat the same beat. Young children love role-play games, and most children love ice cream. So why not create a role-play ice cream shop where your child has to listen to customer orders and then make the ice creams? You can make this more challenging for your child by ordering more than one flavor and by adding extra toppings. Some children will lose focus during activities, and visual resources can be an effective way to help children recognize when this is happening and can help them to refocus back on their task. Here is an example of a visual resource. Here we have a honey pot and a bee. When a child is on task, the bee stays at the honey pot, and when the child begins to go off task, the bee flies away. This can be adapted to suit your child's interest. For example, if your child loves cars, you could use a toy car and a car park, and when your child begins to go off task, the car could drive away. When they refocus, the car drives back. Now let's look at understanding. As your child develops, they will begin to understand and follow more detailed instructions, understand how to ask and answer questions, and understand how to respond appropriately to others in a conversation. Here are some games and activities you can complete with your child at home to support their understanding development. Asking questions during story time is the perfect opportunity to assess how well your child has understood the story they have listened to or read. Another game which will help your child to understand how to ask and answer questions is Guess Who. In this game, one person has a mystery character and the other person has to ask questions so that they can identify who the mystery character is. Cooking or baking is a fun activity which will support your child in developing their ability to follow instructions. Barrier games are another great game where children have to follow instructions. In this game, there is a barrier between the two people playing, and one person has to give their partner instructions on how to complete a picture. The other person has to listen and follow their partner's instructions, and at the end of the game, the barrier is removed and the two pictures are compared. Let's have a look at two of our students playing a barrier game.
You have to color the small thing black in color.
What small thing?
This one.
So what is it? Can you describe it?
It's a shooting star.
Something that's shooting in the sky.
Yes.
Off you go. A game which requires children to explain their understanding is Odd One Out. To play this game, you need a lineup of objects, and one of these objects will not be related to the rest of the lineup. Challenge your child to identify the object which does not belong there and to explain their reasons why. Finally, let's look at speaking. As your child develops, they will begin to use more complex sentences to link thoughts. They will develop their ability to link statements in a conversation. They will develop their ability to stay on topic in a conversation. They will develop their ability to explain their ideas and give explanations. And they will develop their range of vocabulary. Here are some games and activities which provide great speaking opportunities for children. Role-play games and small world games give children the opportunity to experiment with language and exposes them to new vocabulary. Another great game to develop your child's speaking skills is What's Up? In this game, each player will have a mystery object on a card which is placed on their head. Their partner has to describe this object in detail so that they can guess what the mystery object is on their card. Another great game which will help your child to develop their speaking and listening skills is What's Inside the Bag. To play this game, you need to have a bag of mystery objects, and one person has to pick an object to describe to their partner. Their partner has to listen carefully to the description and guess what the object is inside the bag. Let's see two of our students play this game now.
This animal lives in the wild, in the jungle, in Africa, and it has yellow fur and roars. Easy lion.
A communication and language skill which some children can find challenging is eye contact. Props are a great way in encouraging children to look at the person who is speaking. How about making funny glasses, binoculars, or a magnifying glass with your child, and then encouraging your child to use their prop to find the eyes of the person who is speaking? Another game which encourages children to use eye contact is Pass the Wink. In this game, one person will begin by winking at someone in the circle. The next child then passes the wink on to somebody else in the circle, and so on. This game can be made more challenging by going in different directions, or the wink can be passed across the circle. Finger puppets and toys can be a great way of modelling good eye contact. Ask your child to talk to the puppets or toys, and ask your child to identify which puppet gave them good eye contact. This is a great opportunity to discuss how eye contact shows someone you are listening to them. Another communication and language skill which some children can find difficult is taking turns in a conversation. Using a prop like a ball can help children to visualize when it is their turn to speak and when it is their turn to listen. Other props like a talking teddy or a microphone can also help children to understand this. Balance scales can help children to visualize when a conversation is balanced. Each side of the scale represents a person. When a person speaks in the conversation, they add a cube to their side of the scale. If somebody is not taking turns in the conversation, the scale will become unbalanced. When the two people speaking take turns, the scale becomes balanced, which shows children that this is a fair and balanced conversation. Here are some final thoughts for our session. Remember, children are great observers, and modelling communication and language skills will help your child to develop their own communication and language skills. And finally, young children learn best through play, and play experiences will give children the opportunity to practice and develop their communication and language skills. I hope you have found today's webinar useful, and if you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with me via my email. Thank you and take care.